What's up everyone, it's Josh here from the Architecture Student blog and welcome back to another video. Today's video is another tutorial. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because this is how to produce a site analysis drawing in less than 5 minutes. So whether you're last minute cramming, trying to get as much work done before your crit as you can, or whether you're just somebody that likes to work quickly and efficiently and doesn't want to spend too much time on individual drawings, this one is for you. It's very quick, very simple, very easy. I saw an image on Pinterest that I quite like the look of and decided to put my own spin on it. So let's get started.
So the first thing you're going to need to do is find some aerial imagery of your site. Mine is Barcelona. I'm just using Google for mine. I found the image here, bring it into Photoshop. And all I'm doing, I know what you might be thinking, Josh, my site isn't a popular location, I haven't got any aerial photography on Google. Feel free to use the 3D buildings from Google Earth. As you'll see here, we've desaturated the image, so image quality isn't always of the main importance. And then the first thing we just start to do is draw some arrows. I've used the lasso tool for this just because I wanted to make sure I could get the perspective correct, but you could use the pen tool, you could import your own arrows and transform them. There's loads of different ways of doing this, so just do whatever you feel most comfortable with. Again, just looking at the opacity to try and see which one would suit best. Ended up keeping it 100%. What I'm doing here is I'm just drawing the main key routes in and around the site. You'll see shortly I highlight which building is actually where the project's location is. But what I'm doing here is just trying to highlight what the main urban aspects of the site are, the main routes, as I'm sure you can see in the background there, most of them leading through to the Sagrada Familia. So all I'm doing here is just using the marquee tool to draw arrows over the original photograph, and now as you start to see, I'm just tracing around the building with the marquee tool and using an overlay, a colour overlay at 50% opacity just to really highlight where the site location is. I think the other thing to bear in mind with this as well, don't worry too much about the detail. You can imagine this is, when we zoom out, this is quite a small aspect of the overall picture. It's just a very quick site analysis photograph. But what this is going to do is really give the viewer a better idea of where the site is and what's going on in and around it and the sort of the context of the site. And that's what I'm trying to highlight here. I'm now applying an overlay over the Sagrada Familia, one of the key buildings in and around the site. You can do this for as many as you want. I've only chosen to do the one just because it is the most significant, but if your site has 2 or 3 significant buildings in and around it, feel free to highlight as many as you want. I think what that does, it just makes the drawing pop a lot more. Then keep adding some more. I add some horizontal arrows because I felt that the ones that were sort of running vertically and diagonally, although they looked good, I think it needed that kind of horizontal aspect. And then next, what I'm starting to do is just apply a layer mask to the arrows themselves, which just allows them to be partially hidden behind the buildings and the context. To do that, again, I'm just using the marquee tool and then using the layer mask button, which is the rectangle with a small circle in the middle on the bottom right of the screen. Again, I won't go into too much detail about how layer masks work because you can find all of that out online, but what that does is it actually allows the original image to not be affected. So if you decide further down the line you actually just want the arrows to be overlaid over the top of the image and not sit behind any of the buildings, you can just quite simply delete the layer mask and it will return to its original form. Next, all I'm doing just to make it a little bit more eye-catching is I just add a little bit of text, just giving the main street that crosses the site its road name. You can do this in many different ways. For speed and efficiency, all I've used is the free transform tool. You could use the perspective transform tool if you wanted to get it a little bit more accurate, but it was a fairly easy angle to try and replicate, so I've just added the text there, as you can see, and I think what that does is it just makes the drawing pop that little bit more, just makes it that little bit more interesting. I don't think you need to name every street. This was just one of the main avenues that crosses the site, so I've just kept it at the one for the purpose of this drawing. But again, everybody's going to have their own viewpoint on what they want to do for their own project. Next, all I'm doing is just clearly adding a label to show where the project is located just by using the shape tool, and again just labeling it. I actually changed this because I didn't like the word site. It didn't really pop very much, so I just called it project location. There we have it. In less than 5 minutes, we've got an overall site analysis drawing. I think, as I said at the start of the video, sometimes it's not necessarily about how long you're working. You can work more efficiently and still end up with some very nice graphics. I think, as you can see, although it was very quick to produce, what this graphic does is it gives somebody that might be new to the project a very good idea of exactly what's going on, the surrounding context, what the key elements are, the various different transects going through the site. But again, it's only taken 5 minutes, and I think the other thing that's quite nice about this is if you were to pin it up as part of your earlier crits, it's going to give somebody a very clear indication what the site is like. It's an urban neighbourhood and what you're working against as your site context. Now, there is another option if you want to. I've decided to add this to a portfolio sheet, as you can see here. I've just given the site street name as the overall title, and then what I've done is I've added our aerial photograph annotated image at the background there. I've added a map at the front just of the plan view of the street, and then quite simply just put some keywords introducing urban green spaces, which is what I will then be leading on to with the remainder of the portfolio pages. And what I found quite useful and something that I started to do towards the end of my degree was actually start putting imagery over the top of my portfolio sheet. So you don't necessarily have to do this, but I think it just gives an element of three-dimensionality to the portfolio page by introducing those few trees and the person almost as if they're walking across the map. It just catches the eye. I think it just makes it stand out rather than it being quite a flat portfolio page.
So there we have it, guys. That is how to create a site analysis drawing in less than 5 minutes. Also, how you can then take that and put it into a portfolio sheet and a couple of little portfolio sheet tips. As always, please let us know what you think of the video in the comments below. If you don't already, please like and subscribe. I'd love to get the feedback from you so I know which videos you like to see from us, which you'd like to see more of, perhaps what you don't like quite so much. And yeah, we'll see you next time.